All right. Shelby,
Hi, Beeb.
how are you?
Could be better. Could be better.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now this is the Ricky Gervais parenthesis robot show podcast
Yeah, I think you
conversation.
could call it that. You could even say shit show if you wanted to.
I love that, the shit show. I'm all about the shit show all the time.
Not that
Uh
my life wasn't a shit show before, literally.
literally. Okay, so first podcast here for myself. I know you
Mm-hmm.
are well versed in this entire scene.
Not a pro,
Uh,
Beeb. Not a pro.
you
Mm-mm.
sound like a pro to me, and I'll kind of follow your lead here, but I
Okay,
definitely have a lot of questions for you.
sure. Go ahead. Fire
Okay.
away. Be honest.
Okay. So right out the gate, we're calling this podcast the Ricky Gervais Robot Question Mark Show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, the context to go along with it, we kind of have a script, we kind of don't. We don't know where this
Mm-hmm.
is going to lead, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask some questions and you just fire away and whatever
Okay.
happens.
Yeah, I'll try to be as honest as I'm able to be.
Sure. I mean, honesty is key here, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
Okay. So, I'm Bailey.
And I'm Shelby. Bailey's my good friend from work.
Yes, we do work together.
Hmm.
First podcast here. Shelby has this incredible podcast, General Hospital, Table at the Piano. If
I'm
you're
sure
listening,
my
that
stock
is,
just plummeted.
oh my God, no, that is the sister show, and I am so invested. I'm on like episode 300 and what, 30?
And you don't even watch You didn't even know they still recorded episodes of
That,
General Hospital.
it's
She's so
true.
young. So young.
That's so true because I did watch Grey's Anatomy more so than General Hospital,
Oh,
but
it's
you
not the
know,
same. Much
yeah,
better medical drama, General
yeah,
Hospital.
sure, anyone.
And by the
Uh,
way, I'm enjoying an adult beverage. So, and I believe you have had a couple yourself.
I have. Well, so I made this lazy man lasagna,
Uh-huh.
and now I'm having a glass of wine. So
Yeah, nothing
yeah,
wrong with that, Beeb. And
yeah.
when life has exploded and it's really
Mm,
entirely your fault, it's not a bad idea to take the edge off with an adult beverage. So I'm
that's
doing so
true.
with a vodka tonic and
Ooh,
using the old Dutch Barn vodka, which
I
is Ricky's vodka.
well, so I
So
figured you would be drinking
Dutch
Ricky's
Barn.
vodka. Yeah,
This isn't just a plug for Dutch Barn though. It
it
costs way
may.
too much.
Well, is it potatoes or is it
It's mostly apples grown in England. Yeah, with a little bit
apples?
of potato for a
Okay.
smoother mouthfeel, which is
Okay.
what the
So
kids are saying these days about whatever, I guess. Mouthfeel is a
interesting.
thing.
It's not like moonshine with like the
No, it's not like
Greek.
moonshine. It's legit vodka.
Well, I've never had apple vodka, but I definitely that's on the to-do list here in the
Yeah, okay.
future. Yeah.
Someday I'll bring this bottle to you, Beeb.
Please do. Please do.
Okay.
A nice house warmer for some Dutch burn vodka.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
let's rein it in a little. Who
Yeah.
is for our fans and those who do not know, who is Ricky Gervais? I mean, I hear the name, I don't see a
Mhm.
face, perhaps
Mhm.
generationally, but who
Mhm.
is this person?
Well, he's sort of my idea of like a perfect guy.
Okay.
He's very very smart, got a huge brain in that noggin of his, and
Mm-hmm.
he's very funny. He's a comedian. He writes, he directs, he acts in his shows. All of
Okay.
his shows have been amazing. The Office is the one you might recognize, and that's what the American Office is based on. Is
No
his
way.
UK version of The Office? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, well, that's what I feel like you've told me this in the past, and number one, I haven't watched The Office. Please don't come
Down,
after
didn't you?
me.
No, if you didn't watch The American Office, I understand, B, because I tried and
Yeah,
I thought this
yeah.
is nothing. This is a shell of what
Y-
the original Office was,
Okay. So
But
the American version is the spin-off of
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
this
And he gave his
English
blessing to it, but yeah,
he did.
it's not the same. And
Okay,
then he does a lot of stand up specials on Netflix. He's a comedian, you know. I don't know what he
yeah,
would consider his main talent, but he's a Renaissance man, I would say.
he's a Renaissance
And
man.
also he's an investor in Dutch Barn vodka, but
Well,
seriously not a plug.
not a
just
plug. We
just want to
everyone drink
acknowledge all of his
responsible.
accomplishments.
Everyone drink responsibly during this show, please. Um,
even if we
okay.
don't, even if we
Yeah,
don't.
even if we don't.
Mhm.
So, okay, I guess let's just dive in. You reached out to Ricky, who,
Mhm.
again, is this comedian, is this
Mhm.
director,
Mhm.
writer,
Mhm.
actor,
Mhm.
and he reached out back to you, or was it flip flop, vice versa? What
You're
have you?
you're so good, Beeb. Um, I reached out on Facebook. There, he had posted something on his official Facebook page, which was about the afterlife, which is his most recent show on Netflix. And I think I had just a simple response, you know, and I think I followed him on Facebook just sort of to support him, you know, just to show that there was one more person who loved everything he was doing, as far as his shows go. And I think wrote perfect. You know, it was a perfect show. It was about grief, and I think he handled it so sensitively and thoughtfully. But also, it was funny as hell. You know,
Right. Okay.
so I
Okay.
just
And so
said
this
perfect
was, do you think, again, I don't live under a rock, but I personally don't have a Facebook page. So
because
when
you're
he,
young. You still
yeah,
have hope.
you know,
It's like a dying ground for spinsters, really.
yeah, well, I mean, my husband's on it, so, he can go with the
Spinsters and
spinsters.
men who are
Yeah,
30 something, I guess.
yeah. But so what he had posted was from his, like, official page
Yeah,
or
yeah.
okay, okay.
Mhm.
And do you think those pages are actually run by, like, these celebrities or
Good question. I think probably not. I think
okay,
probably if they're big enough, they have somebody running them for them or
right,
overseeing them, you know.
right,
So, yeah, I when I posted my comment, I wasn't really expecting it to get into Ricky's ear ever, you
okay,
know.
interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
So then okay, so the Facebook thing happened. I mean,
Mhm.
how what direction did this go in? Is this like a DM, a PM?
It's not as sexy as a DM.
Okay, not okay.
No, it's very very white bread, very safe, you know, I thought.
Mm,
Um I figured, it was out there mostly for, his other fans. You sort of
okay,
feel like you're the only people listening, you think, are the other fans. So I didn't really
right,
expect him to respond. And then when I got a respond, it was pretty generic. It was sort of like, thank you, for your support. How long have you been a
right,
fan? And I
right,
almost thought it was auto generated. I thought,
right.
this can't be him. This is just some sort of robot, some AI
Yeah,
robot.
yeah,
And so when I responded to that, I wasn't really thinking that, it would go anywhere. I just was
right.
honest and I said, yeah, I've been a fan since The Office. Don't know really why they made an American Office because,
Sure.
the
Except for I'm pretty
British
sure
one.
it's very popular. I
I
mean, The
think it.
Office.
I think it did okay, Beeb. I think it did. I think Steve Carell did all right.
That's what I'm saying. It's not my kind of humor. I mean, I like some dark, twisted stuff, but that dry,
Uh huh.
whatever, it just you have to be in the right mood for it,
You
I
do,
think.
and that's where I live, in that dry humor area. So,
Yeah,
even though I love the British one, I tried the American one, and I thought, wow, this
yeah,
is really falling short.
yeah.
Eventually, it got okay, but I wasn't really a huge fan. But anyway,
Okay,
so I
okay.
said, what I said. He sent back, or whatever, whoever he was. I thought
Right.
it was like maybe some intern or something, or
Yeah,
some robot that
yeah.
automatically replied.
But it felt like
Um,
a safe space regardless. I
yeah,
mean, you're on, like,
yeah,
a fan page. People shouldn't
right.
be there. like doing whatever. It just should be, an open forum,
Yeah,
I think.
exactly. I mean, that's the intention behind those pages, I think, is for
Yeah.
people to show their love and support, and figure
Yeah.
that that's where it ends.
Right.
So when
Right.
he replied, I thought, well, fuck it. I'm just going to be honest. If whoever this is replying to me, I'm just going to reply back. And I
Mhm.
told him that I'd been a fan for a long time since The Office, and just
Mm.
thought he was great. So that
Awesome.
was where I kind of, I was very honest, but I thought this is going to end because this is stupid. He's too busy to to
Right.
to
Right.
text people that he doesn't know.
Yeah. I googled him, and one of the first things that just came up here, blah blah blah, Golden Globes, not Globe and
Yeah.
Lobes. Globe and
That's the
Lobes is
wine
a
talking beeb.
Globe and Lobes. I'm sorry. And then so because Twitter is now X, there's a
Yeah.
picture of a cat here.
Yep. He's got a
The
cat named Pickles now. Or
Okay.
Pickle. Pickle.
Pickle, not
Hmm.
plural, one
Right. Not
pickle.
Pearl. That's the vodka talking. Shit.
Is
This
it pickle or
I knew it was
pickles?
going to go sideways, but I didn't think it would go bad so quickly.
Okay,
let's
anyways.
let's let's pull it together, Beeb.
Okay, okay, pulling it
We're
together. Okay.
professionals, if nothing
Wait.
else. Though I do need a sip of something.
So, okay. Back to the content. So we started on Facebook,
Yep.
then you moved off of these DMs, not DMs, into some sort of
Yeah.
messaging, right? Because you're
Yeah.
talking to Europe, we're here
Hmm.
in the States.
Right. And he wanted it to be a secure connection, and he didn't see. We
Okay.
went from Facebook to Messenger, and then he suggested we
Okay.
move to another platform, which is called Telegram, which is run
Okay.
by some sort of a scumbag, but that's another story. But
Oh,
anyway,
so
so
interesting. Interesting. First of all, I have never heard of Telegram. I personally use WhatsApp, which I
hmm,
believe is encrypted. I don't know about Telegram.
yeah, yeah, it's
Um,
supposed to be. It's supposed to be secure, and I think it's probably mostly for people who could be, sort of scumbags. I don't know.
or
Maybe
off
not
the
all
grid.
of them, but
Off the grid. I mean,
off the grid exactly.
yeah, yeah. That's
Hmm.
super interesting. Well, again, not to derail us, but I'm on WhatsApp and I've used it for years, back when I used to travel and blah blah blah.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's a free app
Yeah,
and it's downloaded on pretty much everybody's phone.
yeah,
Um, so, but how is it free? Why is it free? Is it just because of Wi-Fi? There's just a lot of
right.
questions.
Hmm.
But that's
Yeah.
for another time. I'm assuming Telegram is the same.
It's free also, it's encrypted, and yeah, you can
Yeah.
upgrade, to get other features, I guess, if you're like
Mm,
a deluxe sort of a scumbag, but
mm.
I'm just a base level scumbag, so it's free.
Oh my God, I almost just choked.
Sorry.
But it's fine. It's fine. Jeez. Didn't think we were gonna spin that quick. Okay.
I didn't either. I need a
Okay.
Kleenex.
Yeah. Please. I can't. I'm trying to read
Yeah.
what we're doing here so we don't
Mhm.
keep
Okay, go ahead,
derailing.
Beeb. I'm gonna try to get my shit together here.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, Telegram,
Mhm.
interesting. I
Yeah.
mean, did you use this app before? Again, going back
No.
into these secure type of platforms. I mean, is this,
This was new to me, and yeah, he had
yeah.
suggested this one or another one, but the other one sounded even fucking sketchier. So I was like,
What was it?
I have
Please.
no idea. It wasn't like a word; it was like a weird combination of letters. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with Telegram because that's a word. And I
Telegram.
was an English major, so words matter,
They do matter. Absolutely.
right?
They do
Yeah.
matter.
Here's to
Always.
words, everybody.
Yeah, here's to words. Cheers to words. Well, so Shelby, with that being said, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not one to, stereotype English, English people from the homeland that
Mm-hmm.
supposedly speak proper grammar. I mean, I'm sure for you, an English major, that was a super hook, right?
That he was English.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I guess
one
it was.
one nerd loves another nerd,
That's
no offense.
amen. Amen,
Yeah,
B. It's
amen to
true.
that.
That
Yeah.
let's drink to nerds, people who speak English properly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a huge thing, and that's,
It
a
is.
turn on for me too, even though I'm, as we know, in the land of finance and all of that, but not an English
You
major by any
No,
means.
you're a smart cookie, Beeb. You're a smart cookie. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
definitely one of the attractions was that Ricky is a super smart guy. He's
yeah,
very, very smart, and I love the way his mind works, and his
yeah,
worldview.
yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely.
hmm
Okay, so, oh god, that's a lot to just unpack, honestly.
And we haven't even
Um,
gotten into the shit yet.
yeah, right, right. So, okay, so we're gonna address him as Ricky. Ricky
hmm
is now communicating with us via Telegram.
Yeah.
This is how long ago, Shelby, would you say that this had kicked off?
Well, it started, I think, at the very end of August, and then we were in Telegram land in September. And that's
Okay.
when it felt like things were starting to develop. It felt like it
Mhm.
was becoming like a thing beyond like a fan and a star. It sort of felt like it could potentially be something else.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
when it got
that's just
stupid.
yeah, no, I mean, it just it's so hard to stay away from looking at celebrities in any way. Social
Mm-hmm.
media, tabloids, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Just I mean, you must have been awestruck and even just
Exactly.
the idea of someone like Ricky. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I just
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I think the people who are susceptible to this sort of thing, if you look at how they
Mhm.
feel about their day to day life, they're not having a lot of fun. Their lives are pretty empty and meaningless. And so if something like this happens,
It's
it's
a
it's
big
really
deal.
easy. Yeah, it's a big deal, and it's really easy to just sort of, say what the fuck.
Yeah, I mean, not to put all your eggs in one basket. And I kind of rode this train with you per se,
Yeah, you did.
throughout the whole thing. And I'm so
Mhm.
glad we're connecting here. And just
Mhm.
it, this is really important what we're doing right now. And for you to say, meaningless day to day, but yeah, sure, living up in, I'm not going to disclose your location, in the middle of
It's
winter
in the middle
tends
of
to be
fucking nowhere.
yeah, it tends to be pretty freaking boring.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
even if I wasn't, if it wasn't winter, my life didn't have much going on. I mean, I
yeah.
would say my favorite part of the day was going to sleep, and my least favorite part of the day was
Mm,
waking up. So
mm. I
that's
mean, that hits home for a lot of people, and
mhm.
I'm sure if there
Yeah.
are people listening out there, Shelby, that just to let them know that you're not alone, they're not alone. This is life, unfortunately,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
we're just
Yeah,
going through
even
the
though we're
motions here.
laughing, I think we're trying to make this funny because I think everything in life should be funnier. But
Absolutely.
but just know behind the laughing there's like this sort of
Well,
I'm this
so
close to losing my shit.
Yeah. For you, it can be sadness. For me, it is
Mhm.
anger. And,
Yeah.
our voices should be heard. And quite frankly, this type of situation has hit home for me one time before to a family member. And, stand up for those who you love. And, the
Mhm.
word should be out there to spread
Mhm.
awareness. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Thanks, Beeb. I mean, honestly, you
Yeah,
were the first person I told about
I
this.
know. Yeah. And I'm so happy too. And again, like I was here for the ride with you. Like
You were.
coworkers or not. I mean,
Yeah.
this is I'm glad you brought me along for the ride and we're gonna
Thanks, Beeb. Yeah, I feel
yeah.
like, I mean, her real name's not Beep, but that's what I've been calling
Yeah,
her for a
true.
long time.
True.
But
True.
I feel like I feel sort of like you're the daughter or slash sister that I never had, and
Absolutely.
even though I'm twice your age,
Oh, please. Oh, please.
it's
Age is
it's
only a number. If no one has heard that before, that is the
what?
truth.
That's new. That's catchy, Beeb. You should patent that.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's not that's, like, very common to say, I
It
think.
is. It is.
It
I think
is.
I've heard
Yeah.
it before. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank God for
Yeah.
Beeb. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And then Shelby, you've really been my rock through some other stuff too. And that's just what life has brought us. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy to do this podcast with you. So
Thanks, Beeb.
yeah.
So what do you got next for questions for me?
I
I'm
don't know.
ready.
Where should we go? Okay. So I think we kind of let whatever cat, not pickles or pickle, out of the bag. But we should, I mean, okay, well, we're on Telegram. We're conversing on a what, day-to-day basis, every other day. What's our timeline look like? I need to paint the picture.
Sure. Okay. So the initial contact happened in August of last
Okay.
year, 2024, and
2024. Okay.
then and I'm on my stationary bike, so I might get a little exercise while we're here.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'm pouring more wine and
Okay.
I'm going to be
All right.
wiggling around here.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
So then September comes, we're in Telegram land, and it, we were texting every day, many,
Yeah.
many times a day. And when I was reviewing our texts just for in preparation for this,
Mm,
it took forever, and it was emotionally, of course, exhausting.
mm,
Just to know now, what I know, but very quickly it seemed like we had made a connection. It seemed like we were at least going to be really good friends. And
right.
honestly, if it had ended there, if we were just friends, that would have enriched my life, so much. And I would have been happy
Absolutely.
just with that.
Yeah.
Um, but he had other things in mind.
Okay. Uh, yeah. Friends are hard enough. I mean, as soon
Yeah.
as you get emotions attached there, I mean, it's a lot to unpack. So I guess I'm kind of getting the feeling of things started to get weird, or were you just like falling for Ricky? I mean, let's really unpack this, I think.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
the problem is I sort of loved him even before this, but it was,
Right,
at
right,
that point, of course, it was a distant sort of thing, and I didn't really know him.
right.
And it was just based on whatever part of himself he chose to share with the world. But I loved his
Right.
shows, I loved his mind and his way of
Mhm.
thinking. So I was already on board, for
Mhm.
whatever he wanted from me.
Right.
So he was, immediately very, very kind and interested in who I was, what I was doing, what my
Mhm.
world looked like. And he started saying really nice, supportive things to me. And if you haven't ever had that in your life,
Right.
or it's been a really long time since someone said something nice to you about you, it
Oh my
makes a
God.
huge impact. So you're so vulnerable, and I think that was my problem. I was so vulnerable.
Yeah.
And,
I, I,
he expressed interest in my whole like household and stuff like that. So
yeah, that opens a lot of windows or doors, or once you start letting them in like that, it really begins
yeah.
to impact you, especially the aftermath. Not to
Hmm.
derail again, Shelby. I mean, that's a lot. But one of his movies here, again, I'm scrolling through Google. So
Yeah.
we have The Office, Afterlife,
Mm-hmm.
we have the Ricky
Mm-hmm.
Gervais show, which
Yeah,
looks like
and
one of the
extras.
Flintstone characters. Yep, then
Yeah,
extras. And then
that's
we
true.
have the invention of lying.
Yeah, that's
Um,
ironic, isn't it? Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
very ironic, and I don't even know what to think. I've never watched this movie. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
interested.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it sort of imagines a world where nobody knows how to lie, that lying's not even a concept initially, and then somebody
Yeah,
tries it and realizes
right,
that it makes life different. If you don't have to tell the truth, then
right.
it opens all kinds of doors for you, really.
Right, right. And so I'm
Yeah.
thinking, like, in all of your conversations you're having with
Mhm.
Ricky,
Mhm.
that either we're ignoring any red flags, which again, in the dating world, in any world, it sucks. It's not fun.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
you can either read the room or you can't. Um,
Yeah.
during your conversations with him, I mean, were you seeing any inconsistencies? I mean, were you researching things about him or just
Mhm.
going on faith?
Well, there was a lot of faith involved, yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, there was a lot of me sort of being willfully ignorant of all of the red flags that were just, like, slapping me across the face, you know?
right, right,
Um, yeah, and I think, like I said before, when your life doesn't seem to have anything that you can be excited about or look forward
okay,
to, it's easy to
okay.
just hand it over to somebody else who makes it more interesting, you know?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so that was
Uh,
happening, and there were red flags, though. I mean, there were plenty, and in the back of my mind somewhere, I was always thinking, there's no way this is real. There's no way this is
right,
real." And that
right,
was, like, echoing in my mind all the time,
right,
but the other voice was louder, the voice that said, "God, imagine if Ricky Gervais is your friend, you know,
right,
wouldn't that make
right.
your life so much more interesting, and wouldn't that make it more exciting to get up in the morning, you know?"
Sure,
Even if, like I said, if we were just friends, that would have been great, you know?
sure.
Um, but so that's why I ignored the red flags, and the red
Yeah,
flags were, you know, that sometimes his language was a little different, you know, like he would
okay.
use expressions that I didn't recognize, and I thought, where does that come from? Like sometimes
Like improper English or I mean,
it was
what
just, yeah, that too, but it was also like just sort of expressions that people use, you know, like he would
okay,
say like the time difference was a big issue, but you know,
right,
I knew he was supposed to be 5 hours ahead of me, and
okay.
sometimes, like, you know, I would be texting him, and then there would be silence on his end, and then he'd say, "I'm sorry," later on, you know, "I slept off." I was like, "What does
Mm.
slept off mean? Where does that come from?" And once I Googled it, and, like, the first response to my question was, "This is a Rwandan scam language." And I was like, "Holy fuck."
Oh. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Okay.
Yeah, and I thought, well, that's possible, but maybe,
Okay.
you know, maybe he's traveled to Africa, who the hell knows, you know? And I
Right.
was always, like,
Right.
willing to make an explanation, and I think part of my problem is that, and I have a lot of problems, but one of them
Well, we
is
all
that
do. Yeah.
you know, like if you want to believe something badly enough, you'll figure out ways to explain away the things, you know, that don't make sense. And I
Right.
really wanted to believe it was him. I think that was
Right.
my biggest problem, you know, because if it was him, then my life looked completely different, you know?
Yeah, but okay, so and I'm not trying to be insensitive here, but
No, that's okay.
I think we should
Yeah.
flip the script and
Yeah.
just saying that, sure, maybe you were a little naive. Maybe you did try to read the room, but you did
Mhm.
have your best intentions were set forward, and that's
Mhm.
how you were approaching this entire thing. Again, you
Yes.
are not in the wrong. Whoever this Ricky is was
Mhm.
perhaps in the wrong. I mean,
Mhm.
you tried to go with your gut instincts. And with
Mhm.
Shelby, I just want to say right off the gate, every time I talk about you, which is honestly quite often, we do work together. I
Mhm.
always gloat about listening to your podcast, General Hospital. And,
Which
when
you
you
don't
give
watch.
me, which I don't watch, but I do listen because you guys make me laugh my asses off, my ass off.
I
Your,
have
your,
asses. You have just one.
your asses. I'm laughing regardless. Um, but I always say like you used to be an incredible journalist, and like there are so many important things that you should shed light on. Of you have traveled, you have experienced the world, and yet you still, not necessarily fell for something like this, but it's just
Mhm.
it could happen to anybody, and we need to shed light on that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main purposes of this, because I honestly, when I was, like, leading up to this moment when you and I got on our app to record this,
Yeah.
I was so full of dread because I knew
Mm.
anybody listening to this would be like, "Oh god, she's so
Yeah.
fucking stupid."
Oh, no. No, no,
But no,
no.
no, no, it's fair.
No.
It's fair to think that because there were red flags, you know, and I just kept hoping. It was like the first time I had any sort of hope or any idea that there could be a future that was interesting and that was
Mm,
rewarding to me, you know.
mm,
I'm 61. I live
mhm,
with 3 dogs and a cat and an adopted
mhm,
daughter, and there's not a
mhm,
lot about life that excites me, you know, I'm just looking for the end at this point. So this gave me
mm.
a it woke me up basically, and I felt like suddenly there were a lot of possibilities that I didn't hadn't believed in before.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
You're not alone in that, and I can't say, I guess I'm in an more exciting time in my life, but, like, you and
mhm,
I kinda, work from home,
yeah,
day in, day out, family stuff, the
mhm.
winter up here is just it's tough.
Yeah, yeah, we're both in
It's
New
tough.
England, and
Yeah,
I'm in rural New England,
yeah, yeah.
and it's always cold in my house.
Yeah, it's always a little chilly. We're renovating a house which we're not actually living in, and luckily we're staying with my mother currently.
Yeah,
But again,
yeah,
imagine how exciting
yeah.
it's like really exciting. We just
It's
made
really
lasagna and
that's exciting, babe. Kudos.
the dog threw up on the carpet. Like that's exciting
Yeah, my
for a
dog threw up in
Sunday.
the bed tonight, so yeah, that's like what life is like up here.
Yeah. So we're just going through the motions, I think.
Just trying to get through each day, basically. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, okay. I mean, should we be checking the time or how do we want to keep going here?
You can keep asking the hard questions if you want to, Beeb.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
happy to
Okay.
sacrifice
Okay.
myself for the good of others.
I mean, we should really. And
Yeah.
Shelby, I know again, please feel free to edit whatever you want out of this. But
I don't
but
really know
my
how to, so it's gonna be
oh
all in.
God. Well, that's what my husband was asking. He was like, "And so how are you guys going to like?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Shelby's doing all of it. It's no problem."
Editing is such a big hassle, so
It
just
is. It is.
yeah.
Of course, my right headphone died, so I'll just throw that one back on the charger here.
Okay.
Okay, so we saw red flags. We didn't
Mhm.
go with our gut, which again, Shelby, I'm not going to say anything, but seeing as you were a journalist during Desert Storm, I'm assuming that you had been screened. You have learned to go with your gut since day one. And yet here we are in just some
Yeah.
fucked up predicament.
Fucked up for bit. Yeah, that's a good point, Beeb. I always
Yeah.
did feel like I have good instincts, and I
Mhm.
think that the difference with this was that this was this was only words, you know,
Mm.
we weren't having video chats, we weren't really having voice calls even. So it was just his words, and that's where I'm at a big disadvantage. I think if I see
Okay.
someone in person, I can kind of tell if they're full of shit,
Yeah,
and
it's like
I
the
didn't.
energy, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and you know if somebody's thinking about your best interest or just thinking about what they can get out of you. So
Yeah.
I didn't have that
Right.
piece, you know, to use. So it was just our words, and I did try to introduce the idea of having
Mhm.
a Zoom call or a voice call, and
Right.
you know,
Right.
he would sort of say, "Yeah, yeah, I want to do that. You know, we'll do that at some point." But
Okay.
he was also sort of concerned with his privacy, which I
Okay.
understand, you know, like he had said this needed to be kept private
Right.
because of who he is, and he was starting a tour. And, you know,
Mhm.
one of the initial huge red flags, I mean, there were sort of two. The first one was,
Mhm.
why would he be interested in me? And the second one was that he's in a relationship with someone that he's been with for like over 40 years.
Right.
And, you
Right.
know, and I thought I didn't know where that stood, and I kinda didn't feel like I could ask him about that relationship unless we were in person, because I wouldn't know if I was overstepping or if he was being
Mhm.
honest unless I could see his face, you know? So that was sort
Right.
of like the unspoken part of this that we never talked about whether or not he was in a happy relationship. So in my
Right.
mind, I just sort of said, that's his business, and whatever this is, it's separate from that, you know?
Right. 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 So you kind of were playing along with like the whole script of,
Yeah.
yeah, just like
Yeah, kind
really,
of, yeah, letting him set the sort of tone for this,
yeah. Yeah.
and what we were going to talk about and what we weren't.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember I wrote down one of the things he said at the very beginning. He said, "I want you to promise one thing, that I won't regret texting you and I can trust
Mhm.
you." That was at the
Mhm.
very beginning. And my response was, "Of course you can trust me. I'm a
Right.
spinster who really only talks to her animals. And
Right.
now someone who may be a Russian robot, or maybe I'm now thinking a Rwandan prince who is trying to raise money so his wife can be treated for her uterus full of fibroids." So that's a
What?
problem, Beeb. It's legitimately a problem. All of these, apparently
What?
royalty in Africa, these women have fibroids knocking
Oh my
around their
God.
uteruses.
Well, Jesus Christ. Okay, that's a whole we just okay, went in a different direction than I was thinking. But so you said this to this person,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
I think
Ricky
there,
Gervais,
yeah.
and it was meant to not set the tone, but to bring light of what the possibilities of this relationship were, correct?
Exactly. I think
Yeah,
I always, in my mind, and you know this, I was always trying to
yeah,
decide, is this real? Is this
yeah,
not real? And some days it felt like it was 95% real, 5% completely ridiculous, fake,
yeah.
you know? And so I would send him these like messages once in a while that sort of like indicated my skepticism, and that
Mhm.
was one of them, where I kind of wanted him to know I wasn't completely sure of what this was, but
Yeah,
of course it didn't really matter to him,
right.
because he knew what he wanted to get out of me. And whether or not
Yeah,
I said things that led to him maybe thinking I might be guessing, that this wasn't real, he would just sort of double down and try to prove to me that it was real.
right. Yeah, yeah, and you just obviously at any point you didn't necessarily feel like ending this friendship, this connection. I mean, you were hooked. You were engaged. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly right. I was
yeah,
hooked, and he said so many nice, kind things to me that made me
right.
feel like he was listening to what I said. And also, to be honest, I think one of the things that kept me in this was just the feeling of being able to love someone. Like, I love my
Absolutely.
animals, and that's nice and it's fulfilling in its way, but just
Right,
being able to
right.
show someone you care about them and that you support them,
Yeah,
whatever happens, is a good feeling. So I think that's what I was really enjoying more than anything.
yeah.
Um, you know,
That I think that's just, I mean, human nature, from the like, the pits of everything, that's what we want is human connection. I mean,
mhm.
regardless of who you are, what country you're in. I mean, that's
Mm.
what we're all doing this for,
Yeah.
essentially. If you
Yeah.
try to, analyze everything in that way. Um,
Mhm.
I
I think that's
mean,
why Facebook and these social media apps are, popular, why anybody
right.
uses them, is it because they're trying to sort of make connections and,
Yeah,
make their point on the map sort of mean something.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Well,
you
so
know,
I guess we'll applaud you for bringing this to light here, this podcast. I mean, so far we know there's a relationship that's been established. We kind of are starting to get weird feelings. We
mhm.
know now Ricky has a cat named Pickles slash Pickle One, and
Pickle
we
one.
pickle one, and we've already approached the idea of this being some Rwandan king or what have you, prince, and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
potentially going down the wrong path, right?
Right, right. And I actually, when I added him to my contacts in Telegram, when we
Yep.
shifted over from Messenger, That's
Yep.
why I put Ricky Gervais and then in parentheses robot, because I
Right.
still felt like I don't know who this is, if this is a real
Yeah.
person or if this is AI or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck
Yeah.
people use to just screw other people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
Jesus. I mean, this is a lot to unpack, Shelby. I mean, I'm out of breath here. I mean, I guess, you know, next question would be, will you meet Ricky? I mean, what is this going to turn into?
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
good question, because I was
yeah.
thinking, really, the only way I'm gonna know if this is a real person, if this is real, is if I
Mhm.
meet him, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that was sort of in the back of my mind or in the forefront of my mind, but
Yep.
meanwhile, we were texting back and forth every day. He was on
Yep.
tour. I was following his tour schedule, and I knew, like,
Right.
when he was
Okay.
supposed to be busy and when he was supposed to be home from his tour, and he
Okay.
was
And
kinda
everything was lining up still, right? Like
everything was
dates,
lining up,
timing.
exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
obviously anybody can look at his schedule and know when he's supposed to be performing and when he's supposed
Wow.
to be home. So, it was hard to disprove, whether or not this person was him or not. And I
Yeah.
just kept sort of leaning in and hoping that it was real and figuring in the back of my mind that if we ever meet, that's when I'll know for sure that this is
Yeah.
a real relationship or it's fake. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was going along
Jesus.
with it, and he was sending me pictures, he would send like, I asked him, "What are you mo occupied with these days?" And he sent me the picture from his tour, the Mortality tour, and it's like, well, duh,
Okay.
I know that that's what's keeping you busy, and I know that that poster is something you can pull from the internet. That
Yeah.
was the problem. I was trying to, like, verify what he was sharing with me and decide whether it was legitimate or not, but there's so much on the internet that you
Right.
can
Right.
gather about anybody, and Ricky Gervais has a pretty big online footprint. There's a
Okay.
lot of information you can gather about him. He has an old blog. He has all kinds of stand-up performances, so you can tell, what he
Yeah.
thinks and what he likes and stuff like that. I mean,
And
one
it
of the
all seemed to resonate with, I mean, again, you're
yeah.
an English major, you obviously are diligent about your resources and what have you up to this point of Ricky and his
Yeah.
fame. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, I
Yeah.
was tr I was always a teeny bit skeptical or just questioning, who is this person? Because I
Mhm.
honestly couldn't believe he would spend any time speaking to me. Although
Right.
like, then somewhere else in my mind, I thought, if he did know me, we would be
Mhm.
great friends because I just sort of have a gut feeling that we sort of like the same things and look at the
Yeah.
world the same way?
Yeah.
So, it was really
So,
hard to think about, like, just saying, "Fuck you," "I know you're full of shit," because somewhere in my heart and my mind, I thought my life would be so much better if I had this person in it?
right. Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, he kept sending me pictures and stuff that kind of made it
He was
seem
leading you on. I mean,
he
then
was
push comes
yeah,
to shove, he was
yeah,
leading you on. You know,
yeah,
I think it's just it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack.
yeah.
But I guess my next question here is, Shelby, did you ever go and meet Ricky? And you know what? I don't know if we need to unpack that here. Maybe it's for another time. This is serious. We have celebrities involved. We have PR. We have all this bullshit
And 2 drunk girls in in
and
New England.
too drunk in New England,
We
and
can't
we're
fix
trying to
this
unpack.
problem, I don't think, B, but,
No,
I don't even
we
know if we
can't.
can prevent this from happening to somebody else.
No, but we should spread word because again, this is huge. And you know what, celebrities, obviously, they need to be aware of these things and they need to put up, some sort of safeguard from this happening,
Well,
right?
yeah, I've thought about that too, B, because I kind of feel like I mean, I don't think the celebrities bear any responsibility for what other people do in their
Sure,
name,
sure.
but I kind of wonder if maybe they could, on their social media profiles say that, if you comment on any of my posts and somebody responds to you, that's not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I know that would
Absolutely.
suck for people who actually want to respond.
Right. Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't blame Ricky Gervais at all for anything that happened. I still think he's a lovely man and
I was just
super
gonna
hot.
say, well, just for being, an incredible director, a
Yeah,
comedian, a good-looking
yeah.
guy, and
He's
for inventing Dutch Barn vodka or whatever he did.
Cheers.
Correct.
Yeah, he's done a lot. He's done a lot for humanity. So yeah, continue to love him.
Mm,
Um, actually, one of the huge red flags, and that you've been so polite not to ask yet,
okay. Mm.
is about whether or not he asked me for any money.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And maybe
That
this is the last thing we'll talk about today in this
it,
episode, because I might
here,
need to throw up afterwards.
yeah, okay, okay, yeah,
But the first time he asked for money was maybe a few days into September, so it wasn't long after we met.
right.
And he had sent me a couple of videos of like a car driving through London, and you couldn't
Okay.
tell obviously if it was him or whoever was driving through London. But then he said he was grocery shopping, and he asked me if I needed anything, if I wanted a present, and I was like,
Mm,
no, I'm good,
mm,
thanks.
okay. Yeah, from
um,
England, I mean,
yeah,
groceries. Yeah, okay,
not
okay.
realistic really that he would send me a present, and I don't know that I'd want anything from the grocery store in England.
Right, right.
So I told him, I was going to the store later myself, and that I was going to meet my brother for coffee. And he said, "Will you get me a present?" And that
Mhm.
didn't seem really jarring to me, because already in my mind, I'm thinking, I wish I could send him a present.
Right,
I
right,
wish I could show him some way that I care about him. And so I said, "Sure, I'll send you a present. Think about what you want."
right,
So I went to the
right.
grocery store, and asked him. I was texting him at that point, and I said, "What would you like?" And he said, "How about an iTunes card or something?"
An iTunes card.
An iTunes card,
What
Beeb.
the
That's the
fuck?
currency.
What
That's the
the
fucking
fuck?
currency. Yeah,
Okay,
you know.
okay. Red
So
flag. I
red flag,
mean,
red flag. Yeah.
iTunes.
Yeah, but in my head, I'm thinking, because I'm stupid and also now drunk,
Oh.
but I'm thinking, what's the big deal? I wanted to send him something. Now I know what he wants. So I sent
Mhm.
him like a $50 iTunes card.
You did.
I did.
Oh,
I did.
damn
And
it.
he was grateful, and he said, "Thank you so much. I don't have good luck when it comes to gifts, because he came from, sort of working class family, didn't have a lot, didn't have
Yeah.
presents and things like that. And so I thought, well, all right, if I can make him feel better, then that's good. That's all I need.
Every woman's prerogative to make a man feel better because they don't
Every
have enough
woman's
self-esteem.
prerogative.
Sorry, don't
No,
cancel
you're
us.
that's accurate, Beeb. That's super
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah.
So
Fuck
so
me.
that was that was that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was so grateful.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, it's just again, you always it gets hard, right? I mean, you never know what the MO is per se of one
Mhm,
country to another. And so for someone overseas to say iTunes, gift
mhm,
card, whatever, that seems
mhm.
pretty reasonable. I mean, if we were here in the States, what do we do now for gift cards? I mean, I get one to fucking Home Depot.
Oh, yeah.
If
I
that counts
love
for
I love a
anything.
Home Depot or Lowe's gift
Yeah.
card.
Home Depot or Lowe's. That's all I'm getting these days.
That's all I
Um,
want. Yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, it's funny you
yeah,
said that, Beav. I was thinking, about like what my problem is, and there's a lot, but one of
well,
them, is that just, you get used to sort of being invisible, and
sure. Unless you make yourself whatever. And at the end of the day, she'll be like, and I know I've said to you 1,000 times, it's like we're just such a little like part of the entire puzzle. And it's like
yeah,
it's what you make of it. Like, so
yeah.
just, fuck
Well, I
it.
would fuck it that's the motto. That's the moral of
Yeah,
this
like
story. Fuck it.
we're putting this on blast. It's fine. We're running
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. But I was in Lowe's once and I was looking at like knobs and drawer pulls. And there was a
Mm.
guy in the same aisle and he sort of looked at me and he's like, "So you shopping for knobs?" And
Not
I was
you, you
like,
fucking knob.
man, here's a psychopath, you know? And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks. And
Was
then I
he in
walked
like,
away and I was like, wow, there's a fucking mental case. But I was also somewhere in the back of my mind thinking, well, that was nice. He was interested in whether or not I was shopping for knobs. And that's my problem,
yeah. Well, I mean,
you
at least
know?
you're thinking about both parts. I will have to say,
Both
my husband
parts.
gets, yeah, my husband gets very upset when I say we're going to home creep show. I mean, we're more of a Lowe's type of family, but
Lowe's is
he,
made for women.
it is. It's just, more aesthetically pleasing, and
Exactly.
the lumber there is different. It just, if
It's
you know, you
it's not
know.
necessarily good, but it's different. Yeah.
Correct, correct.
Mhm.
It's not as in bulk and what have you. And
I think
Home
we've
Depot,
lost all of our women listeners, but
we
we're
have.
tomboys.
We are tomboys. Shelby, you are one of what, five brothers, four
I have 4
brothers,
brothers, yeah.
four brothers. I'm an only child, but I'm a horse girl and I
Yep.
can fend for
You're a
myself.
tough chick, yeah.
Yeah, so we're pretty tough chicks up here in New England, and
We
again,
kick your
just
ass, but not if you're
yeah,
overseas. We can't do anything. We're
that is true.
powerless.
The very powerless, and so our voices will be heard.
Yeah. Should we wrap this one up, Beeb?
Yeah, I think we should wrap this up. I mean, I've had a little bit
Okay.
of dry mouth over here from just
We need to get
flapping
you
my gum.
hydrated. Tomorrow at
Yeah,
work is gonna be so hard.
I know, I know.
Oh
So,
boy.
all
Okay.
right.
All right.
Okay,
I know.
Shelby. So, thank you for sharing, and up next, I guess we're gonna find out if you really met Ricky
Yeah.
Gervais.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna hit stop now, Beeb. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And tune in tomorrow, everybody, if you're interested. If you want to
Yeah.
watch this train wreck continue,
Absolutely. I feel
we're
like we
here
have a
for
couple
you.
more good ones in us.
Yeah, we do. Okay, Beeb.
Okay.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much for
Thank
being
you
part of
so much.
my problem.
Oh,
Okay. Bye, Beeb.
okay. Bye, Shelves.
Bye.